Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we are carrying on our puzzle series. And in the last video what we done here is that we started to have some kind of interactions with our actors. So if you remember, if you press E here, we have now this interaction. If we leave the range, we have no more interaction with it. So what we're gonna do here today is that we're gonna create a lever. So we're gonna be able to pull the lever and bring the lever back to normal when we can. Alright, so to do that, we're gonna get this guy here to browse to the assets, and I am gonna delete that from the word, not the actor in that. I'm gonna close everything here for now. I'm gonna right click on this guy, and I'm gonna create a children blueprint class, right? And I'm gonna call this BP, and let's call this base lever, right? There we go. Now I'm gonna create a new folder, and I'm gonna call levers. Yeah, and I'm gonna bring this guy here. Nice. Now, if I open up here, I'm gonna drag and drop here in the Word. Yeah, so it makes sense. Now, if you remember, we have now. Let's see if we have a lever design. And I know in this asset that we actually have one here. Why is not coming up to my So I think if you go to props, levers, there we go. So we have the base, and then we have the handle. So the base is gonna be this for sure, and then we're gonna have here our the handle. So I'm gonna add a new static mesh. What you can do here is that you can drag and drop here. That will work as well. So let's just call this handle so it doesn't get too weird. And yeah, cool. Compile and save. Great. Because those assets, they were kind of, they were done specific for this course, so they kind of match. But sometimes you end up with some assets where they don't match. So you need to make sure that they do actually match. Right, so let's just change our position to 9-0. So we know that our lever here is disabled. So if we press play now, we need to find a way of pulling the lever, right? So how do we do this? We already have the interaction, which is great, but right now nothing happened. Like, we need to find a way of pulling our lever. Right, so if you click on this pencil here, you should go to the parent class. And in the parent class, remember that we have created a event in here called actor interaction, right? So we kind of can use this interaction here to override our behavior of our class. So we can do stuff in here where you wouldn't be able to do in the parent one. So let me show how this works. So right now, what we can do here is that we're gonna right click in here, and we're gonna search for FN, and we have actor interaction, right? So the actor interaction in here is a function that we are overriding with new stuff. So for example, we can do print here, and we can say something like, I don't know, something crazy like green salad or something. And if you press play here, we should be able to see FN and our crazy text there, as you can see. And keep in mind, the BP base lever that it runs first, right? In our case, we need to make sure that we can pull the lever. How we can do this? Unfortunately, functions, it can't handle timelines, because functions, they run inside their own box. So we need to create event on the instead of a function, we need to use a event that will call this timeline that will actually move the lever up. I'll show how we're going to do this. So first thing we're going to do, on the base layer, on the event graph, we're going to create a custom event, and we're going to call this API move lever, right? And in this case here, this guy is just going to be a multicast and reliable. And I'm going to, the reason why this is a multicast is because our function is already running on a multicast, so you don't need to worry about calling a server and doing all that stuff. This is already done for us. In here, if you need to do something specific on the server, you do something like has authority, and then you run authority means server, remote means the client. But in our case, we don't care about this. Right. Now we need to move our lever, and we're gonna create a timeline. So we're gonna from this ping here, we're gonna create a timeline. Where is it? Timeline. There we go. Add timeline, and let's call this lever move or something. And what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna compile and save, and we're gonna open up our lever in that, and we are gonna put something like, let's say 1 second. So it's gonna be the length here, and we're gonna add a flow track, and we're gonna call this track here move lever, right? Let's just rename it move lever, and let's create 2 keys here. So the first key that we're gonna do here is 0, and the next one is going to be 0 and 1, right? Awesome. So what happened, basically this timeline, what we're telling here is that we basically saying, oh, it needs to be 1 and 1, sorry, no, yeah. We're gonna be using these to basically create, in a space of 1 second, we're gonna be moving the lever up and down, so it makes the feeling of, you know, is smooth moving or something. Alright, so done that. Crazy, nice, great. So what we can do here, if you see what happened here, if you just press print, and if I show what happened here, let me just put 1 second here. And if you see, now what we can do here is that from our class, we can just call this API move lever, whatever, compile and save. Now, if you see, in a period of 1 second, you should see a lot of weird numbers in there. You see? 1. There's always 1 coming up. So what we could do now is we need an option in here if you want to make a reverse or not, right? So we're gonna just create a branch, and we're gonna create a new variable in here, and which is gonna be called lever active or something, right? And what we're gonna do on this is that if it's true, means we are moving the lever. Once this has been finished, means that the lever is active. So in our case, we also need to put a not boolean, because so basically not boolean means the other way around. So in this case, our default value in here is false, which means that if it's false, it's gonna run this first. So what we want is not, which means it's gonna run true, right? And then it's gonna set to active, and then we do the other way around in here, which is going to be like this, and then we move the lever back. We can find a better way to clean this up after, but for now I think that would do, right? So now if I press print, this should go up from 0 to 1, and this should go down from 1 to 0, right? Because we play on reverse. And make sure that we do reverse from end and play from start, because sometimes it should be able to pause the animation in the middle. You don't want that. You don't want this to happen. But there you go. So as you can see, yeah, it's just because I'm using the same colors, which is not bright, but it is actually working here. So it is, you know, setting our animations to our class in here. So we're coming here, and then it goes down. Cool, great. One thing that I noticed in here that we could improve quickly, just a very quick minor thing. Once it's finished, you want to set this up. You don't want to do one update. Updates every time we call this. Alright, cool guys. So now that's the basic. This is the heavy part. Now how can we move this lever, right? So now we have the time. We have a way of knowing if it's active or not. So how can we actually make sure the animation runs and, you know, it gets nice so the player can actually see this? So what we can do here is that we need to play with the rotation of this guy, and we need to rotate up and down, right? So if I go to my event graph, I'm gonna get this, my handle, and I'm gonna call set rotation. And I wanna make sure I am using the set relative rotation, right? And I am gonna do something like this. And now I think it's called lerp or rotation. So we're gonna get the relative rotation, which is the current rotation, and we're gonna make rotation. There you go, guys. Yeah, I'm just back here. I was just looking for the proper node, and the one we want to use here to move our part is something called lerp. So the lerp basically interpolates, for example, from where you are to where you want to go, and the alpha is your seconds. In this case, our alpha here is 0 to 1. So 1 means is the final destination, 0 means is the beginning of the destination. So once they reach 1, it will move our part to the final destination. And yeah, so what we're trying to do here now is something very very specific here, right? So what we need to know is where do we want our lerp here to finish? In our case, 180, and is rotation partly of x row on the x axis. So on the x we need to put 90, and the alpha is going to be plugged in here, and now we're going to plug this guy there, which is great. And let's see what's gonna happen. Let's just clean this up in a sec. Let's press play here, and let's see what's gonna happen here. So now if I press that, you see, let me just move my lever up. Our lever here, it goes up and down, and there we go, but it doesn't go up. Right, so now we know this works. So let's actually creating here a better way just to handle this. Let me just put this guy back together here. Let's put all this stuff here, which is great. And now let's put this thing here. That should go here. Yeah, that looks horrible like that, but it's fine. Cool. Now what we can do here is let's wrap this thing here to a macro, and then we do a macro where we pass just one thing here. Let me show you this thing here. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna right click and collapse to a macro, right? And this macro we're gonna call rotate part. And basically now, as you can see, if you open up our rotator part, we have our macro here. There's just one minor thing here that we need to keep in mind that we wanna also pass, which is our rotation. Where do we wanna go? And let's call this final rotation, right? And the final rotation here will be the place where this is gonna be. Let me just plug it in here. So it also has an end. And now if you go back to our event graph, this is everything here. Great. Now we just called this guy. Remember that we put 90, and let's put 90. And now we do the same thing here, but we plug this here, and now we put minus 90. There we go. Cool. Compile and save. Press play. Now if you go back in here and we press to interact, goes down, goes up. Yeah, that goes, I think the part that goes up is snapping too fast. That's because reverse from start. Let me check if we put like a different value or something. I don't know. Let's see what happened. Oh yeah, it's because, yeah, makes sense. Because what we're trying to do here is actually, we also need to play from start, and that's fine. We don't want to make sure that, because it's from 0 to 1, otherwise we'll start already where it it should be. Go back. Yeah. As you can see, it goes down and then it goes up. There's a little bug that we need to fix here, because when we get inside and then we need to get out to interact again. So I want to be able to, you know, do that once. But yeah. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything for this part of the series. And what we're gonna be doing the next one is cleaning up that bug for sure, and then we're gonna be creating a door. And then once we have those in place, we're gonna be connecting our lever here to our door, and that should be everything. Oh yeah, so it does work. Let's see. It doesn't work sometimes, but yeah. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I see you guys in the next one.